Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to our beloved lecturer as well as my fellow classmates. Today my group and we will be talking about reading Lolita in Tehran, and our group will be presenting on the themes that are within the novel itself. So first up we have me. Hi, I'm Alyssa, Krista, Binti, Ahmad, Kamal, and I will be covering the theme of women and gender that is very much prevalent within this novel. So let's get to it. Before I go into my section, which is women and gender, I want to give a little bit of a summary of what reading Lolita in Tehran is. But prior to that, I'd like to give us a disclaimer. It's currently raining, so if you hear the rain sounds, please don't get tired, please don't get sleepy, and bear with me. I also see a rainbow. But other than that, I want to give a short summary of what reading Lolita in Tehran is all about. And if I'm looking down, it's because I have my slides right here. So essentially, reading Lolita in Tehran is by the author, Iranian author, and Professor Azar Nafisi. So this book jumps in around Nafisi's life throughout the 1970s as well as the 80s. It also depicts her life prior, during, and after the revolution. So other than that, it mostly talks about or it's mostly centered around the private group that she has with her students to discuss literature works, as well as we go into the novel. It also talks about the life of women living in Iran and having to go through the strict implementation of laws as well as rules by the government. Now we can move into women and gender. So women and gender, at first I'd like to start off with talking about the reading group and then moving forth towards the discrimination or the differences between both genders, male and female. Alright, so the reading group. Now the reading group that was created by Professor Nafisi was a group of female students who would meet together every Thursday morning, and they would discuss literary works such as reading Lolita. Not reading Lolita. They will discuss many other works of arts by Western authors, because back then during the revolution, reading anything from America or anything that is westernized is against the culture of the Iranian people. Now the reading group, it is in chapter 8, it is called a place of transgression, whereby the group of female students are able to leave behind the constraints of their lives in the world outside and be themselves within that specific group. So outside, they are not able to take off their veil, they're not able to wear what they want, they're not able to even wear makeup or even wear nail polish or a specific type of shoes. So when they're in that group, they're able to remove all of that. They're able to remove the veil, the black robes, the chador, if that's how you pronounce it, and they're able to be themselves in this group. Other than that, not only are they able to be themselves, but the females of this group often discuss about the differences that separate them from their male counterparts. And they also discuss literary works that focus on a lot of controversial themes that are not appropriate for the Iranian people, for example. Moving on to the most pivotal aspect of this theme is the fact that there are stark differences between male and female. And we know that the revolution has implemented extremely strict rules and regulations towards the society, especially to women. And the freedom for women are withheld from them, which makes them sort of quote-unquote oppressed. Now I want to give you certain examples that are prevalent to this theme itself, women and gender. So for example, there's this one particular student that is within Professor Nafisi's private literature group, and her name is Yasi. So Yasi talks about how her uncles are able to move abroad, and they're also able to have an education which allows them to have more experiences than their family's female counterparts. And whereas her aunts, for example, are left to live in Iran, and they have to put up with spoiled, nagging husbands inferior to them intellectually and in every other way. So this idea of the intellectual inferiority of men in Tehran goes hand in hand with the comment that Nafisi records in her diary, where she says, all of my girls want to be independent. They think they cannot find men equal to them. They think they have grown and matured, but men in their lives have not, and they have not bothered to think, which is on page 38. So another example I like to give forth within the book itself is when Yasi also talks about this particular entrance to the university. So it's this gate, and the men of the university are able to pass by freely. They can pass by whenever they want. They can go in and they can go out with no problems. Whereas their female counterparts, the female students of the university, have to go through another section, which is a lot more closed off. And this entrance is where we have like these modesty guards, right, of the university that will check all of the girls before they can even enter the university, and if they even find something that is remotely against the rules and the laws of the land, they will either be reprimanded or they'll be sent home. So they will be, it's sort of like a spot check where they check to see whether you're wearing your veil properly, whether you are wearing clothes that are modest enough, whether you're even wearing makeup or lipstick, or if you're carrying something in your bag that is considered illegal on school grounds. Another thing I like to mention is that within this novel is the fact that men are able to walk freely in public. Men are able to walk without any fear of danger, and the women are scared. The women fear for their life if they walk in public by themselves, or if they're caught walking with a male colleague, and if they're caught, just being themselves on the streets of Iran. So that's another thing that I want to pinpoint, because if it were me, I would definitely not. I would skedaddle right out of there. But of course, Malaysia, it's different. We are a society that accepts people who either choose to wear the hijab or don't wear the hijab, because we're a multiracial, multicultural country. But yeah, coming back to this theme is another example that I'd like to give, which is one of Professor Nafisi's experiences in the novel. So we know that Professor Nafisi, she was expelled by the two universities that she was teaching at, and if I'm not mistaken, it is the University of Tehran. It's also the University of Tehran, and also the University of Alam Tabatabai. I'm sorry if I butchered that, but yes. So she was sacked. She was fired from these two universities because, one, she refused to wear the veil, and two, because of her teachings. So she has taught a lot of literature that is controversial, that has gone against the Islamic Republic's law, and which talks a lot about, for example, she had a trial of sorts in her class to defend or to put forth the Great Gatsby novel on trial, and a lot of the male a lot of the students fight against the themes of adultery, the themes of being a liar, the themes of being a fraud. But moving forward, I want to really emphasize on the fact that because she did not want to wear the veil, she was sacked because she's not following the laws of the land, and it was made she had to wear it. It was a thing that she had to do, and if she didn't want to abide by the rules, then she would have to leave, which was what happened to her friend Lale. We know that she was having lunch with her friend called Lale, and Lale was from the Department of Psychology, and because she wasn't wearing a veil, she was stopped by the guard, and there was this whole goose chase that happened in the university. And when she reached the Department of Psychology, she was sacked because she did not want to wear the veil. And I remember the line in the novel or in the text which says, or you're not abiding by the rules, you have to wear a veil. And she said, that is my business, not yours. So we can see that the rules are now being implemented into the universities. And when it came to Professor Nafisi's turn to go to the university and to speak to Mr. Bahri, if I'm not mistaken, you know, she had this sense of like, it's not about abiding by the rules, it's about what will my students think, what will my students feel because I've outrightly have not worn the veil, and I do not want to do so. That is one of the examples that I can give. And at the same time, if we look at her life before the revolution and during the revolution, we can see that it was very different, because the women in society were able to do whatever they want. They were to do as they please. They could walk with male friends, they could go out at night, they could wear whatever they want, they didn't have to wear a veil, they weren't oppressed. So in that sense, the fact that all of these rules and limitations were implemented on women were unfair. But I will say that because these women in this private literature class, they were able to learn about literature, and they were able to discuss many different things that they can relate to their own life, as well as the literature itself. It has taught them that no rules or no laws or no men can take away the education that they have and the knowledge that they have within themselves, and that is very liberating. We know that Professor Nafisi, she's a very outspoken person. I mean, she fought with administration. When she was teaching, when she got her new job, the administration was against the way she taught and what she taught, how she taught and what she taught, as well as they were against her not wearing the veil properly. So it's just a sense of, why do I have to do something when it goes against my own prerogative? This is what the novel is trying to talk about. It's centered around the things women can't do, and it centers around the fact that Iranian Revolution has created very strict and quote-unquote oppressive manners of living for women. And I'd like to end my presentation, my section, and I want to pass it forward to the next presenter by quoting a line from the text, and it is, "In our case, the law really was blind. In its mistreatment of women, it knew no religion, race, or creed." Page 273. So I'm going to pass the baton to our next presenter. Thank you so much. How does me not wearing a veil affect the way I teach and affect me as a person, as an educator? I don't get it, frankly speaking. And yes, I will not conform to the rules and regulations of this university just because I do not wear a veil. I will decide if I want to wear a veil or if I don't want to wear a veil. Period.
Okay, it's on. Hi! My name is Zawwin and I will be your next presenter for this explorations of teams presentation. You guys have met Azar Nafisi, right? Alyssa introduced you to her. That was quite interesting, wasn't it? But I also have a friend that I would like you all to meet so that we can all dive into these explorations of teens better, for us to understand the plot line, and for you guys to understand the teams better. She will help me throughout these presentations. Do you guys want to meet her? Okay, come on, get ready to meet you. Come on, masuk. Sekejap, I can come in now. You sure they're okay with it? Okay. Hi, I'm Yassi. My friend Zawwin here asked me to be in this presentation because she thought that I can help you guys understand the themes of this story, because I was there. Anyways, so I am going to present on the
Yassi, you're not gonna present.
I'm not gonna present.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna quote some of the things that my teacher taught me in the class, so that you would comprehend the theme better. So yeah, looking forward to meet you in this presentation. Bye. Hi, I'm back. Okay, so how was meeting Yassi? She's quite interesting, isn't she? Her and I will together explain two themes, which is literature and America and the US. So stay tuned for these presentations. Hi, before my friend Zawwin starts her presentation on the theme literature, I would like to elaborate more on what my teacher Nafisi said on this specific page, which is, I told my students I wanted them in their readings to consider in what ways these works unsettle them, make them a little uneasy, make them look around and consider the world, like Alice in Wonderland, through different eyes. And I think that's what everyone should think about every time they read a new piece of literature. Okay, so you detach yourself from the reality and dive into the books, because there are infinite possibilities to convey a great work of literature. Okay, so Zawwin will explain further on that. Let's go. Okay, so now I will explain about the usage of literature as one of the main themes in reading Lolita in Tehran. Okay, so as we all know, the storyline is how Nafisi chooses few students to have a private class in her home and to discuss literature together. And why literature is because literature creates this safe space that these girls can open up their mind and open up how they really feel about a piece of writings. Okay, and also in the story, literature are often misused as a guide to reality. However, that's not the case, because when you read, you are supposed to detach yourself from your reality, but as you read on, you will understand a little bit better about the outside world. Once you start to detach yourself from your own reality, you put yourself in the other person's shoes or in the character's shoes to understand the complexities of the conflicts in the book. So for example, as we all know, how Nafisi uses some of the Nafisi reference authors such as Fitzgerald, James Austen, and the book Lolita itself, because each of the texts that have been chosen by Nafisi is because the content of the book have an elements of imprisonment and limitation. So Nafisi uses these contexts from the book for the students to relate. Okay, so all in all, that is why the reason literature is a part of the theme in reading Lolita in Tehran. Thank you. Yassi here again. So I'm going to explain to you the first theme, which is literature, and I would like to add on more on what my teacher have quoted. It is only through literature that one can put oneself in someone else's shoes and understand the other different and contradictory sides and refrain from being too ruthless. Now, what does that mean? Okay, now, what my teacher is actually trying to explain is that by reading more, you would understand more. But Zawwin will explain further into that. I will shut my mouth now. Let's dive into the presentation. Okay, so now I will talk about the team America and the West. Now, why is America and the West is one of the main teams in reading Lolita in Tehran, you say? Because Westernization are one of the main reasons why Islamic Revolution was pushed. Okay, so the Iran society view America or the Western as the Great Satan, or in Melayu we call it the Hasutan Shaitan. Okay, because these the Western ideology of the West are inclined with the morals and the values of the Islamic teachings. Okay, so that's why one of the reasons why most women in Iran are limited, because, well, according to them, it is not one of the Islamic teachings. But little do they know that Islam do not discriminate women at all. Islam protects women. So the hypocrisy behind Iran society to consider America as the great shaitan, the great Satan, is completely ridiculous in my opinion, because the great Satan can be anywhere. The great Satan can be within the people of your own religion. Those who uses make excuses in the name of religion. That's the great Satan too. Some of the example is the Great Gatsby incident, how one of the students disagreed to use the usage of Gatsby in one of the lesson, and this is because the ideology, the teachings of the Western are going to like brainwash the Iran society. But in fact, Nafisi told them that you do not need to learn Gatsby, you do not need to read Gatsby to know that adultery is wrong, because you or good or bad, because you know that adultery is wrong. You know itself that adultery, the act of adultery is wrong. But why you read Gatsby is because you want to understand the complexities of adultery, the complexities of marriage, these conflicts, and these conflicts will make you critically think and give you the epiphany of truth of, okay, so this is the reality, this is some of the things that can happen in real life. Because like I said, you don't read Gatsby to know adultery is wrong or adultery is good or bad. Okay, so all in all, to conclude, America and the West is one of the team in reading Lolita in Tehran because of their Western ideology, which in my humble opinion should not happen, because like I said, Islam protects women and Islam does not encourage these kind of acts in the name of religion. So yeah, thank you for watching on my part of the presentation.
Assalamualaikum and a very good morning everyone. My name is Adriana and together I have my friend here. Assalamualaikum, I am Nasrin. We both will continue presenting about the themes in reading Lolita in Tehran. As all of you know, Islam is the religion of peace. It promotes peace and harmony. Even in the Quran it says, God abhors any disturbance of peace, which clearly means that peace is liked by Allah over anything and everything. But why is the Islamic revolution the total opposite of peace? Why is this revolution under the name of Islam a total chaos? My friend Adriana will continue this presentation. As what Nasrin has said before, Islam is the religion of peace and harmony, but the use of Islam, of this religion in Iran, in the book Reading Lolita in Tehran, is ironic in a way that they use this religion for the benefit of certain parties only. For example, the men and the politicians, and not for everyone as a whole. One of the examples that this religion is used falsely, used wrongly in Iran is when my friend Sanas and five of her girlfriends had gone for a 2-day trip to the Caspian Sea, and on their first day they had decided to actually visit one of the friend's fiancé at a villa. But then these morality guards came and attacked them for doing nothing. They said that they have received reports of illegal activities, but when they searched around the villa, nothing was there. When I heard about this, I was confused, because what Sanas told me was, when they did not find anything wrong, their outfits are appropriate, everything in their household is not illegal, these morality guards still arrested Sanas because they said that her and her friends had Western attitudes. What does Western attitude even mean? And when the guards took all of them to jail, to morality jail as they call it, they were placed there for 48 hours, 2 days in the morality jail for doing nothing. And on top of that, they were sent to a clinic to meet up with a female gynecologist with all of her students staring while doing a virginity test. Absurd. This is absurd. I am very angry, wallahi. I'm gonna pass this to Adriana now. Adriana? Assalamualaikum. Adriana? Thank you, Nasrin. I am so sorry. Let's continue. As Nasrin has said before, Islam is the religion of peace and harmony, therefore everything that comes out of it should be so. But these people have used it in a ridiculous manner in which they twist the words of Islam so that they can act negatively to anything outside of their norm, but in the name of Islam. So to do the virginity test, even though by a female gynecologist, it is in front of her students. So it's embarrassing, it's humiliating for these girls. Yes, it is true that in Islam, females and males should not go overboard when socializing, which is clearly not done by Sanas and her friends. Another example of the use of the team religion in reading Lolita in Tehran was when Nafisi's grandmother, who is a devout Muslim, more devout than Mr. Bahri, said that she resented the fact that her veil, which to her was a symbol of sacred relationship to God, something that symbolizes her relationship with God, has now become political. It shows that it turns women who wore them into political signs and symbols. She feels like wearing the hijab is not about their relationship to God anymore. It's more of a showing that the Islamic Revolution is something that is taking over Iran, and everyone who supports the Islamic Revolution supports Islam as a whole too, which is false. It is terrible how religion is used in a political manner rather than a spiritual one. In every class we had with Nafisi, we used a lot of imagination, because the sad truth is we don't have anything that could entertain us but our imagination. Everything is wrong to be done here. Every activity that we do is wrong. So we cling into our imagination. Nafisi also said that how can she create this other world outside of this room? She had no choice but to appeal once again to imagination. The literature classes gave us some meaning to life. Although we were not able to do everything, to do the things that other people do in the books that we read, we use our imagination as escapism. An absurd fictionality ruled our lives, but this is just how it is. We rely on our imagination. The use of the theme of imagination is very prominent in this book. Nafisi and her students use imagination as a retreat, a form of escapism from the actuality, the world that they are living in. Each book that they read, imagination must be in there, because they need to imagine the situations that are happening in the book. And also, us readers, the way Nafisi writes the book, she explains every single little details, the way she explains her room and where her furnitures are praised and the colors of it. We use our imagination to imagine the place that she describes, the situation that is happening. She also explains the mannerisms of clothing. Nafisi uses her imagination to create reading Lolita in Tehran, and we use our imagination to imagine what it is like to be Nafisi in reading Lolita in Tehran. In every class we had with Nafisi, we used a lot of imagination, because the sad truth is we don't have anything that could entertain us but our imagination. Everything is wrong to be done here. Every activity that we do is wrong, so we cling into our imagination. Nafisi also said that how can she create this other world outside of this room? She had no choice but to appeal once again to imagination. The literature classes gave us some meaning to life. Although we were not able to do the things that other people do in the books that we read, we use our imagination as escapism. An absurd fictionality ruled our lives, but this is just how it is. We rely on our imagination.
Assalamualaikum everyone, my name is Amanda and I will be presenting on the themes of politics and memory. Politics. The theme of politics is heavily represented in this book. Throughout the entire chapter, many of the things that happen, as we've discovered, such as, starting from the war, the oppression against women, and also the society as a whole, having their freedom taken away from them, having their value of life being minimized to mere speck of dust. All of this happened due to the nation's and government's political interests and motives. And in order for us to be fully immersed and understand Nafisi's writing, it is actually important for the reader to have a little bit of understanding and comprehension regarding the historical text, especially in terms of the political aspect. When Muhammad Reza Shah succeeded his father in 1941 and took the throne, his dictatorial and oppressive rule fomented opposition from the religious population, despite his effort in industrializing and modernizing the nation. So until his death, Muhammad Reza Shah managed to keep Ayatollah Khomeini exiled from the nation, and he was sent to Turkey. Ayatollah Khomeini was Muhammad Reza Shah's #1 nemesis and enemy at the time. But after the death of Muhammad Reza Shah, Ayatollah Khomeini returned to Iran and brought along so many political changes in the nation. Because of him, Islamic Republic was established, bringing along the implementation of new strict policies, rules, and regulations. And these changes and rules greatly influenced the way Iranian women lived their life at the time. During the reign of Muhammad Reza Shah, women went through the changes of being unveiled because of his more liberal view. However, after the establishment of Islamic Republic, women were forced to don proper Muslim clothing, such as chador or black long robe, under the circumstances of being publicly humiliated, punished, and arrested. So, as we can see, this political setting has brought along many unfortunate events and situations, such as men's inhumanity against men. Because of the nation's political interests, a war was waged between Iran and Iraq, and this war was used as a leverage to manipulate the society into thinking that, oh, if you do this, then you'll go straight to heaven. If you do this, then you show true loyalty towards your religion and your society. If you throw yourself in front of the enemy's tank, no matter even if you're just children, then you'll directly go to heaven. If you wear this key around your neck when you were in the front line and then you're killed, you'll be sent straight to God's paradise. Also, because of the nation's political interests, they are so afraid of the society having their own opinion or getting crazy ideas up in their head. Hence the reason why Nafisi's choice of course content was always being criticized and judged. And not only that, the society's freedom of speech and gaining information was also taken away from them. For example, Nasri was jailed for peacefully distributing leaflets on the streets. She was not part of any riot group protesting in a big emotion. She was just distributing leaflets peacefully, and she was still jailed for 3 years. And many of the citizens had their satellite dish taken away. I'm sorry guys, someone is knocking my door. Wait. Oh, yes officer, can I help you? Oh, good night ma'am, I'm the National Guard. I'm here to confiscate anything illegal that you might have in your house. I don't have anything illegal in my house. Wait, what's that I'm seeing? Is that a satellite dish? No. That's not a satellite dish. No, you're lying to me. That's a satellite dish. But I'm not lying. That's not a satellite dish. Ma'am, that's a satellite dish. Give it to me. Literally a good... No, it's not a satellite... You know what? You can take it. Sorry about that. Anyways, let's move on to the next thing, which is memory. The next theme that I will be presenting is memory. Reading Lolita in Tehran is not just any book, but it is actually a memoir book, meaning that it was written not only based on just factual truth, but it consists of recollection of Nafisi's memory when she was living in Iran. And in the book, she stated that you get a strange feeling when you're about to leave a place. Like you'll not only miss the people you love, but you'll miss the person you are now at this time and at this place, because you'll never be this way ever again. And the fact that Nafisi wrote Reading Lolita in Tehran after she left Iran and lived in the United States of America, it makes this phrase even more meaningful and special, because it shows how this book does not only serve to give exposure to the readers on how it was to live in Iran during the very critical time, but it was also a way of her trying to relieve the memory that she could never ever experience again, no matter how bitter or pitiful the memories are.
Okay guys, thank you so much for watching our presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys understand the themes and the examples we've given. And stay safe, stay at home, wear a mask, wash your hands.